for approval, Bob, as the recap of Committee of the Whole. If you could ask for approval of these policies with those changes.
When we get to that point, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
And then
Right.
you are good to go.
Okay. All right, we'll call the regular meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Robert Beaver,
Here.
Betty Brusky Malik,
Here.
Kristen Kraft,
Here.
Craig Gerlach,
Here.
Justin Herder.
Here.
Richard Murden,
Here.
Linnea Miller,
Here.
Gordon Shallow, Charles Spargo.
Here.
Open meeting certification, this November 16th, 2020 meeting of the Mid-State Technical College District Board of Directors and all other meetings of the board and or its committees is open to the public in compliance with state statutes. Notice this meeting has been sent to news media and designated persons in an attempt to make the citizens of Mid-State Technical College District aware of the place, time, and agenda of the meeting. Open forum. This is an opportunity for somebody to address the board. Ground rules have been established. Is there anyone who would like to address the board there?
There is no one on site to address the board, Bob.
If not, let's go to approval of the October 19th board meeting minutes, excuse me.
I'd make
This is better. We'll move.
I'd like to make a small suggested change. Until we start meeting in person, I think we ought to strike the committee meeting starting at 4:15. I don't want to give people the impression that are reading this that we're meeting off record when we're not. We're starting our meeting at 5 o'clock.
Thank you, Chuck.
I'd second the motion to approve with that change.
Any other suggestions, questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Consent agenda, payment of bills and payroll. Give me a second here while I fumble around.
I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Okay.
Second.
Thanks. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, or no, roll call, I'm sorry.
Robert Beaver,
Yes.
Betty Brusky Malik,
Yes.
Kristen Kraft,
Yes.
Craig Gerlach,
Yes.
Justin Herder,
Yes.
Richard Murden,
Yes.
Linnea Miller,
Yes.
Charles Spargo.
Yes.
Thank you. Next is the board chair's report. Everybody was able to make the meeting other than Gordon tonight. The K-12 annual report that was to be provided during discussion and possible action will be postponed until December. We held the Fall Boards Association was held virtually on October 23rd. It featured Nicolay College perception of technical colleges, graduate outcomes, and the marketing consortium. Anybody have any comments? Well, I listened to it. I thought it went pretty well, all said and done. I don't know how many participants they had virtually. Do you know, Shelley, or does anybody know?
You know, I don't know the actual number, but I know Layla had reported to me with an executive committee meeting that they've been very pleased with the attendance that they have been receiving. So I know that it's been favorable.
Good. Good. Okay, next is ACCT Legislative Summit. Again, that's going to be held virtually, February 8th to 10, 2021. Registration is open until mid-December. What I'm going to ask this, Shelley, because I don't know, what kind of registration costs are we talking about?
Yeah, then we're going to be able to do kind of a group rate again. The registration is kind of pricey, but I think what it's going to do again is allow us to have opportunity to really attend any of the sessions that we want. So, at the time and date when you want to be able to watch it. So I think that that's a really good thing. So we do not know the agenda topics yet. So we're kind of hoping that we would get more of a schedule, because then you'd be able to see, is it more sessions that we would be interested in? I can tell you from a college representative, we'll definitely have Bobby, probably, who's our legislative person, be one representative of the college to make sure that we're hearing the latest and the greatest. But I would say just kind of like what we had done for the conference where we had given the talk, that I think if you're interested, we again will do a group rate. And I don't know, Angie, do you recall how many is in that membership rate?
They haven't released a full membership rate yet, but what they've done is they're in the $300 to $400 range per person right now. I am expecting a similar group rate soon.
Okay.
Early bird registration ends opens the middle of December.
Mm-hmm.
And so things are pushed back a little bit. So we're kind of holding, Bob,
Okay.
to answer your question about pricing.
But I think with that pricing, to be honest with you, because we don't have to travel, if any of you are really interested in wanting to be able to take advantage of those virtual sessions, we want to get you registered. We want to have Mid-State, represented, because we don't have any of those travel costs. So if you would like to, participate, yeah, let Angie know. And we definitely it's worth the money. It's worth the money.
Well, you can put me on a list if it's not going to cost extra money.
No, and this is one of your professional development opportunities as well. So we as a college want to support that. So really, if any of you have an interest, we would definitely sign you up as part of our Mid-State team.
The other thing I would suggest to the group is, if we get a good group rate, most of those, or I shouldn't say most, I don't know that I've ever heard a real bad one, but certainly heard very good, what do I want to call them? Like primary speakers,
Right.
Somebody help me out here. I'm brain dead.
Keynote, Bob.
Like keynote sessions, Bob, is that what you're, like the keynote sessions?
Yeah, the general session speakers are very good generally. So if you're interested, that would be good. Okay, just let Angie know. Next meeting date is Monday, December 21st. We'll hold that virtually or at Wisconsin Rapids. Committee of the whole, did we decide now, do we want to move that start time up?
I can do 4:30.
4:30? You want to do 4:30 then, folks?
4:30 works for me, Bob.
Okay. Let's plan that for 4:30 instead of 5. And then we would begin a regular meeting at what? 4:50, Angie?
I'll take a look, Bob, at what the agenda items look like. It will be anywhere from 4:40 to about 4:50, just depending.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll notice appropriately.
All right. Is there anything else that, otherwise that's the end of mine, and we're ready for Bill Snackbauer's there today with our foundation report.
Good evening, everybody, and it's great to see you all, even though it's virtually. It seems like it's been a long time since we got to see each other. The foundation has been pretty busy, as you can see on the agenda. Just like the college, we started using a dashboard to actually be able to look at data to help drive our future activities, as well as student success, because everything that we do has a direct impact on student success. So we wanted to make sure that we had data to utilize. So with that, we had 4 major goals as part of our dashboard. One was to grow the endowment this last year by $50,000. And as you can imagine, COVID had hit us hard as well, with everything pretty much coming to a halt. We did actually grow it by $29,000 last fiscal year, which I was happy with. Our credit card portal that got implemented in December We did see donations coming through that in third and fourth quarter of our fiscal. So we were happy to see that, being that we weren't actually promoting it. And we also secured 13 programs being sponsored by Sponsor Scholar when we had a goal of 6. So overall, the growing the endowment is happening. It's just slower than what we had thought because of COVID. Our board engagement, we wanted to recruit 4 new board members to our board. Last year, we were able to recruit 2, one in the attorney legal area and one as a business consultant. We also started putting together recruitment, developing a board recruitment tool from producing gaps and so forth, so we can actually really look at that as we move forward into this fiscal year. Our third goal is positioning the foundation for the future. Part of that was we needed to look at our policies and procedures. Last year, we were able to get our interest policy for endowed donors established, and we completed our gift acceptance and in-kind and investment policy. So we're really happy that we were well on our way with policy revamps and looking at them. And the transparency between the college and foundation, one of the areas there was that we had started developing a weekly meeting with Karen, the VP of HR, and myself, as well as this quarterly reporting to the district board on what has been happening. So that has been really helpful to keep that communication flowing back and forth. The next thing that I'm going to do is share my screen. Everybody should have this in your packet. And it is, can everybody see that okay? Angie, did that come up? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is our impact report. This is our annual report that we will be including with our annual appeal that goes out in this next week to donors. And some of the highlights that I just wanted to share with you. This last year, we had given away 406 scholarships totaling $276,000. That was compared to 374 in fiscal 19 and $235,000. So even though we had a challenging year with COVID and so forth, we still were able to help many more students with scholarships, and we were very thrilled about that. Our emergency funding for fiscal 20, we had an increase in that. We had 23 emergency grants that were given last year compared to 16 the previous year, and 32 emergency loans compared to 9 the previous year. So we are continually helping students with emergency funding as they go through their educational journey. And with COVID, like Greg and Bobby had indicated, we were thrilled to be able to give $25,000 in emergency funding for that laptop loaner program, which I understand is continuing to go semester to semester as well. So that's really good. One of the other highlights that I like to share is the fact that 27% of our mid-state staff are actually alumni. So as we started our engagement with our alumni association and our plans that are moving forward to do more engagement with them, we discovered that 27% of our employees are alumni. So that is our first group of people that are helping to direct where we take our alumni association. So we're happy about that. In addition to that, I got to find how to unshare that screen now. And then I'm going to share this screen. For some reason, it's not allowing me to share it. Well, on the back side of that flyer with our annual impact report was our list of our college events. Our annual appeal will go out this next week. We will have our employee giving campaign the month of February again. And then we'll do our summer golf outing, which is already scheduled for June 21st at Stevens Point Country Club. We have never utilized Stevens Point Country Club, so we're really excited to be going there this year. We will have our trap shoot fundraiser on August 20th, and then our scholarship reception on September 16th. So mark your calendars for those. We had did an event evaluation, and this year we made the determination that we were going to skip doing Sand Valley just because of the manpower and so forth, but we are on their calendar for the next year once we're back to doing more and more things live and in person. So that is our handouts. In addition to that, activities that we've been doing for outreach, we had our GPS class is where a class is required for all students to learn all the ins and outs of technology and everything that's going on in Mid-State. It's been proven very successful for the students when they're first starting their educational journey. And the foundation was invited to 10 of those GPS classes this spring. And we talked about the scholarship window that was open, how easy it was to apply. And our GPS instructors allowed those students to do their essay questions and so forth in class, so they could actually just copy and paste them into our scholarship portal. The key part there is last year for our spring award period, we had 85 students apply for scholarships. This year we had 144. So with that outreach, it allowed us to get to more students, to have more opportunities to earn scholarships, which we're really happy about. We also were included in the counselor breakfast for our high schools, and that we went through the high school application period for them. Our high school window opens up in December, so it was critical that we got that information in front of them early enough. And we created 2 outreach videos with them, one that actually went through the entire process of our scholarship application for the high schoolers. So it's a step-by-step what they need to do. So we're hoping that that will help add to the incentive for these students to apply for scholarships and apply for their education here at Mid-State. In addition to that, our updates for the foundation is we're going to continue to meet virtually until COVID gives us signs that we can do otherwise. We also had developed a 1-year strategic plan for this fiscal year because we couldn't gather at the end of last to develop it. One of the goals in that was we designed a stakeholders questionnaire for feedback, and we're sending that out to donors, employees, alumni, and our boards within the next couple weeks to get some feedback on how the foundation is doing, and hopefully utilizing that data and how we can build a strategic plan fiscal 22 moving forward. And in addition to that, we're working on our scholarship and grants committee policy and procedures, as well as our development committee policies and procedures. Those are 2 more policies that we need to get updated and implemented. And with that, that is my foundation report. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Yeah, Jill, the $250,000 of in-kind, what is the bulk of that?
That bulk is actually the in-kind that the college gives to the foundation in the terms of salaries and benefits and operations.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Okay, next is the president's report. Shelley.
Thanks, Bob. Nice job, Jill. You can see that the foundation is really making continues to make an impact. So that was a great report. As far as campus activities, you hear us talk about how employee engagement is important and how we're trying to continue to stay connected with our employees. So I got a picture here to show you. We had a few years ago, the employees wanted to be able to dress up for Halloween. You might recall that. And so the question was, well, are we going to do it this year? And the answer is yes. So what we did is we had staff send us a picture. And I think Angie's going to bring up a slide here just to show you some of the pictures. Hopefully that's going to be coming up. And what we did, rather than doing prizes for the most original or things like that, everybody who participated, we actually gave them a $10 subway card just to say, hey, thank you. Thanks for being engaged with us. So there's some of the pictures it looks coming up. And so people really did embrace it. It was fun. Now I probably need to point over to the right. We have our security directors there with a man witch. HR, and I think that's Karen and the 3 witches up on top from her department, and also Jill and Belle, I think, might be on there. But their division, they were the witches and man witches. Isn't that funny? So Karen is definitely creative. So, but I think again, there's kind of like that delayed reaction, right? Witches and man witches, but very original, very original. So with that. I believe I sent out a video that I had sent out from the Office of the President in October. Again, just a video message letting the staff know kind of where things are at. And in addition to that, for the month of October, if people give dollars to United Way, they are able to wear denim jeans. And just in the spirit of appreciation, I wanted to extend the opportunity to wear denim through the end of the semester. Really just to, again, do our part to, you know, keep morale up, and definitely if we're meeting with external partners, they cannot. But people have been really respectful about that, and I can tell you allowing people to wear denim from November 2nd to December 23rd is definitely, I've got more emails on that probably than on the other emails that I send out. So again, just trying to do our part there. Also campus conversations, you may recall that is something that we are going to continue to do. I start those next week. I've got 4 of them where it's just conversation that staff can go on virtually, just like Teams, and talk about what's going on. And then the last thing is we started really a fall, end of the semester, kind of winter celebration. You may recall years ago it was called kind of the holiday celebration. We're going to again do that virtual just to get people together and be able to say, you know, we wish you a wonderful holiday season and congratulations on a successful fall semester. So I think then that we're going to go to the next slide here that Angie has, and I'm just going to, this was a picture that was on our social media. So we received a call from the Boys and Girls Club of the Wisconsin Rapids area, and they give out an award called the Blue Door Awards. And it's really an award that they give to a community partner that they believe has shown great support for the club. And they named Midstate this year along with one organization. And it really was kind of the shared work that our staff here at Midstate has done with anticipation of their new building here in Wisconsin Rapids, the continued work in our teen center to provide opportunities for our members to explore the programs that Midstate has. We worked with them on a virtual college camp, and really we just have really developed a great partnership with them. So I think, Angie, you can take that slide down. And we did get this beautiful award. It's probably hard to see, but it has a blue tone, and we definitely will be displaying this proudly because we want to be known as that community partner. So when somebody really says, hey, we want to recognize you, we take great pride in that. And that is really kudos to the Midstate staff who have been working through the partnerships, all of the events. Graduation, December 13th. We do have a plan, and I'm going to let Mandy go ahead and share that with you. Mandy?
Yeah, thank you, Shelley. Hi, everyone. As I shared last month, we are planning a drive-in style outdoor graduation ceremony on December 13th for both our spring 2020 graduates and our fall 2020 graduates. We're really trying to limit the number of people involved and on stage as much as possible due to the pandemic. And while graduates will be walking across the stage, we're not planning the traditional congratulatory handshake, obviously because of COVID. We would still really like to recognize the board. And for those of you who are interested, we would love to include a picture of each of you along with a 2 to 3 sentence congratulatory message in our pre-ceremony slideshow. We already have a picture of you on file, of all of you. So if you are interested in this, in being a part of it and sending that congratulations message to our students, if you would just send me your 2 to 3 sentence message by November 30th. And we will be sure to include that with the slideshow.
And if you recall, we had asked our December graduates, or excuse me, our spring graduates, what they would like, and they really wanted to have a separate ceremony. And Mandy, you were giving me a number this morning, and I can't remember now. How many people do we have registered for that ceremony?
Yeah, for the spring one, we have about 25 students. And for December, the fall graduates, we have about right around 75 right now.
But again, we'll be able to do it in a safe way because they will be in their car. We're just going to allow them their car to drive up and be able to walk across the stage. So again, we'll continue to watch, and if we need to adjust, we will. But at this point, we are feeling comfortable because it will be outside and what we will be, how we're going to do it. Thanks, Mandy.
Thank you.
The cafeteria, I wanted to kind of give you an update there. So this is probably not surprising that one of the impacts that we're seeing with COVID is we have less staff on our Wisconsin Rapids campus along with students. And this is affecting Canteen, who is our food provider. They have given us notice that they are going to temporarily cease dining operations after December 17th. So the plan is that for the spring semester, we are hoping to work with maybe some local food trucks who will maybe be able to come into our cafeteria and be able to, we'd love to help them out to be able to serve that need for some of our staff and for our students. But this is not surprising. We also have heard that other colleges are having that same effect that is happening. Fox Valley Technical College just came out to say they are also closing their food service operations right now, just because with having, less than 50% of our staff on campus, really having less students on campus. And as you can imagine, letting people really loiter around, right? Gathering spot. So people, if they are coming to campus, going right to class and then leaving after class. So our contract with Canteen does expire June 30th, which I think will be something that we'll have to continue to explore options. As you know, you've heard us talk about an approval for a culinary program. We have a hospitality management. Is this anything that maybe we could do some food services with our own programs, students, or again, with some of our faculty and staff? So we'll have to just explore, but I didn't want you to be surprised if you hear that the cafeteria in Wisconsin Rapids will be closed in the spring semester. We did actually close our Starbucks counter about a month ago, just again, because there's just not as many people here and they just, they're not breaking even. And we definitely don't have the dollars to be able to subsidize right now, just because of the numbers on campus. But we are hoping that we can have again, some local vendors maybe come in to try to help them out if we can. As far as COVID update, so right now we're a little under 6% down. So we're really we're holding there. So if you recall, we were at one point closer to 10%. We're now closer to 5% down. Our spring registration is going, but again, we don't know yet what spring semester is going to totally look like. But at this point, we're again making sure we have more online options. I did send out an email though to the college last week that I did decide that we would do no more rentals between now and the end of the fall semester. So meaning I'm trying to limit the number of people that are coming into our buildings. So if a local organization wants to have a meeting here, right now we're working with them to help them set up a Zoom or to help them use Microsoft Teams to do it, but trying to not have them come to campus, which has been very favorable from a staff standpoint. We have not upset anyone by that, but again, trying to do our part of reducing the number of people on campus. I've also came out to say that if you are on campus and you are meeting with another person who is on campus, we are asking them to use Microsoft Teams to do that. So we're trying to do our part in reducing the number of in-person meetings on campus. So again, trying to do that, but continuing to do our education, which is what we need to do. We very much dissected Governor Evers' last order that came out, which was really recommending behavior for all Wisconsinites. And please know the COVID team, we went through that really line item by line item to really say, is there anything more we can do? And that really, those two things came out of that conversation. Let's reduce the rentals and let's try to reduce more in person if we can. And Deb's just going to give you a quick update on the increase in virtual, just to let you know how we continue to adjust. So she just wants to give you some winterim numbers because winterim is right after the holidays and kind of what we're planning for spring semester. So Deb.
Sure, thank you very much, Shelley. So we did look at winterim, and winterim includes those classes that are in the first 3 weeks of January. So when we looked at the classes that are scheduled, we have a 27% increase in the number of online classes compared to winterim of 2020. So again, we're trying to be responsive and anticipate the needs that our students have and expecting that they will want to take more online classes or take classes from home. We are offering a similar number of in-person classes compared to last winterim. However, when we looked at them, 61% of them can be accessed using innovative technology from home. So they can connect from home into the classroom and attend class if they would like to do that. So we're pretty pleased with that, that information. When we look at spring, we have a 30% increase in the number of online classes for spring of 2021 as compared to spring of 2020. And nearly half of the classes scheduled in spring can be completed either online or from home. So again, we want to provide students with that flexibility that if they need to attend from home, they can in real time and really come into the classroom using technology to get the education that they want.
Thanks, Deb. And so you had heard us have this COVID funding team. We also have this COVID response team. And again, there's multiple times a week that this team is meeting. Our next meeting, I think, is actually tomorrow afternoon. So just know that we also have our campus deans, myself, we're all serving on certain community leadership meetings around COVID. So again, really staying on top of what is happening. And again, we'll adjust if we would get another mandate or whatever we may need to do. So keep in mind that right now, our end of our semester ends December 17th. So we're kind of in the home stretch. Please know that our doors, December 23rd is the last. So December 17th is the last day for students. So then we do have staff that are here those first 3 days that next week. But December 23rd is our last day to be open before the holiday break. And then if you remember, we implemented that shutdown a couple of years ago. So from December 23rd to January 4th, we are closed. So just kind of a reminder with that. And then winterim would start on that January 4th, and our spring semester starts more like that January 27th. So just to kind of give you an idea. With COVID, again, every month we're looking at the budget. So around December 1st, again, we'll be looking to see where we are. We did have our meeting in November and still felt like we can continue to keep doing what we're doing. We're just continuing to put in the pieces of the puzzle. And if we can stay close to that 5%, that will definitely help us with the budget picture. So we'll keep watching that. You've got two pretty documents. I'm hoping you're thinking they're pretty in your packet. And just want to refer to Moving Forward Together 2025. So you heard Beth Ellie out of Educational Services come in a few months ago to tell you that we were updating the strategic plan. Do you remember that? And this was something that we've held here for about 3 months because we wanted to be able to get you and the foundation board together. This was going to be one of those topics if we were able to meet, but now knowing that that probably isn't going to happen in the near future, I just wanted you to have what we ended with. So we took all of that information and we wanted to have a tagline for our next 5 years. And that is Moving Forward Together 2025, because we know that we have a solid foundation, and for us to continue to serve our communities, it takes us all working together. So the wheel, you've seen the wheel before. Some of the detail of the wheel is updated based on those focus areas around our pillars. The small little brochure, if you open it up, there's a message from me, and then again, you see the wheel. And right below that wheel is a great summary of what we're doing here at Midstate. So I just wanted you to have this and know that if you hear people talk about Moving Forward Together 2025, that is our tagline for our next 5-year strategic plan. And I can tell you that at this point, I think the employees have really embraced this again. And it's just something that we're using. When you look at that wheel, remember there's different colors. That then goes to our team action plans that are also color coordinated. If you look at the logo of Moving Forward Together 2025, those are the same colors that are in the sections of the wheel to really represent all of that. Because remember, we have an accreditation visit coming up, and we want to be able to show what we're doing around our strategic plan. So again, wanted to make sure that you've seen what the college all got a few months ago. Questions on that? Okay, 2 other quick things. The WTCS update. You all had that link for the virtual ambassador banquet. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Our ambassador, Luke, did a wonderful job. There's also been a state board meeting that was on November 11th, and we really talked about virtual college and online learning. North Central Technical College was the college that was highlighted for that state board meeting. And they also talked about them setting their strategic directions, the WTCS as a whole. So that was really the topics on that state board meeting. I believe Betty was there, and Betty did a great job of doing the DBA report out. And I was able to give the president's briefing as well. Also from a WTCS update, I want to let you know that Waukesha County Technical College has named their next president. You may recall that they were going through a search, and they have named Dr. Richard Barnhouse. And Dr. Richard Barnhouse is going to be starting in January. He currently is working in the state of Florida, but he did work at the 2-year UW colleges here in the state, and also had worked as a dean of Moraine Park. So I don't know if he is originally from this area, but they have named him officially last week. For President's Association activities, know that we've had 2 meetings since our last board meeting. We met on October 21st. We also met on November 11th, talked a lot about diversity, equity, inclusion, talking about budget considerations, continuing to talk about COVID. That is the main topic that all of us as 16 presidents are talking about, how we're all adjusting and really learning from one another. So that would end my report.
Thank you. Chuck, you're up with finance.
Okay, there's a little bit more detail to cover tonight. Sorry, Bob, it's going to go a little longer. As Samuel L. Jackson said in the first Jurassic Park movie, I think it was, hold on to your butts. On page
I must have missed
16,
that, Chuck.
on page 16, budget modifications made in the month of October 2020. You see them there? Greg let me know that there's one item missing. It's actually a transfer of funds from Capital Projects Fund 3 to Fund 1. It's for the machine tool grant. Apparently, the expenditures made there, instead of being capital, are considered more operational. So it's just going from Fund 3 to Fund 1. It's $27,000 in both budgeted revenue and budgeted expenses. So it's a net zero total. You'll see in Fund 2, we talked about some of the COVID funds earlier with Dr. Bobby and Greg. The GEAR COVID relief funds, we're establishing a budget revenue of $305,878 and expense of $474,000. So it looks like we're running a deficit there, and that we're taking $168,000 out of fund balance. But actually, we had a carryover from 2020 of that exact amount that was put into fund balance. So we put it in there last year, fiscal year, and we're taking it out this next fiscal year. So while it's showing a net decrease in fund balance of $160,000, if you consider the 2 years, it's a net wash of nothing in relation to that GEAR relief funds. Of course, as they pointed out, COVID relief costs are going to be higher than COVID relief revenues, so we're going to lose some funds overall. But in terms of this budget modification, it's nothing over the 2 years relative to that. We got an extra page in our board packet on page 20 of budget modifications for last year's budget, and I'll address those a little bit later. On the next page, page 17, it shows the current budget for fiscal year 2021 with the modifications from the prior year and the one that was missing, the $27,000 shift from Fund 3 to Fund 1. So there's really not a whole lot of change down at the bottom, other than what I talked about. That fund balance will be reduced by $160,000, which came from last year. We had $160,000 more added to it. But another item that I want to point out in the changes in fund equity section, in capital projects, you'll see there is the budgeted fund equity of $636,000 on that top line there. And down below, you see proceeds from debt of $5.5 million. Keep that in mind. I'm going to talk about that on the next page because there's a change coming up on that. But $636,000 in fund equity and $5.5 million in proceeds from debt is what I want you to keep in mind. Okay, then going to the next page, page 18 shows accrued revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund equity actuals for the year so far in fiscal 2021. Of course, last month we certified our tax levy. So you can see that we've got in Fund 1 an additional $7.4 million roughly. And in Fund 4 for debt service, $6.6 million in additional funds being recognized. We also had about $1.7 million in student fee addition in this past month and about $700,000 in state aid grants in Fund 1. So for the month, we had an increase in recognized or received revenue of just over $17 million. And that means for the year, we've recognized or received 51% of the revenue of the budget. In the next section on expenditures, we spent $3.1 million, and that's in the total of all funds, which means about 30% of our expenditures have been spent or encumbered. And I want to point out that in Fund 1, which is where we have the most control, we're through 1/3 of the year. 33% of the fiscal year is complete. And salaries and wages that have been expended are exactly 33%, so that's good. And current expenditures is a little bit below the 33%, so we're a little bit ahead or under our budgeted expenditures in the year-to-date expected of 30% instead of the 33%. Okay, next, want to point out that in the changes in fund equity, the total we've increased $15 million based on the revenue that we've recognized exceeding the expenditures encumbered or spent. The point that I wanted to make from the prior page is if you look at changes in fund equity for Capital Projects Fund 3, you'll see that the estimated fund equity as of June of 2020 went from the $600,000 that I pointed out to just over $5 million. And the proceeds from debt went from $5.5 million down to $1 million. And that was because of a fluke. You know, we did the $4.5 million loan or the bond issue earlier, and it just so happens that that money arrived on our doorstep on June 30th. So the auditors asked that that be reflected in the 2020 budget rather than the 2021 budget, which means we received that revenue. We didn't spend it, obviously. So it increased our fund equity that carried over from 2020 to 2021. So the fund equity of June 30th went up by $4.5 million, and the proceeds from debt went down by $4.5 million. But we did receive the $1 million already that we passed the second chunk. So the total for that column is pretty much unchanged, but it just shifted from proceeds from debt to the fund equity carryover from last year. And I guess I also want to point out, because of the change in when we received that bond money, it made a slight change in the annual debt service fund for revenues and expenditures that Greg explained to me. That completes the comments I wanted to make on page 18 on current actuals. Next is page 19, the combined balance sheet. You'll notice that the cash and investments are about 20.8 million, which shows a drop of about 700,000 from last month, which seems a little bit odd considering we just got $14 million in tax revenue, right? Well, we didn't. We just authorized that, but we didn't get it yet. We won't get that till next year. So you see right the line right below it, we have receivables of property taxes of about $14 million. So we haven't received it, but we have it coming to us because we've legally made that a assessment decision, levied those taxes, and passed that on to the taxing jurisdictions. So our cash and investments dropped from what they were before, 700,000 to 20.8 million, which it reflects 73% of our maximum monthly, which is back in 2017. The next page is fiscal year 1920 budget modifications. Greg says this hasn't been shown in this fashion before, but he's trying to improve the information that we're given. So it shows the changes in the specifically the grants and the CARES institutional fund money from last year carrying over to this year. After our board packet was put together, he also sent me another budget modifications that was the result of audit modifications. And it really kind of addresses what I talked about before about the bond money coming in early. So the 2020 budget is being modified to reflect that we actually received that money early. And I presume that will show up in modifications in our board report next month because it came in after it was sent out for this board packet. That concludes my presentation on the treasurer's report. Greg, any corrections or additions you'd like to make?
Chuck, I couldn't explain it better myself. There was a lot of activity during the month, October, in the bond area with that change that the auditors requested us to do because they're receiving the money on September 30th. I appreciate you explaining it out to the board, Chuck. Thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda for the Finance and Infrastructure Committee is the bank authorization change due to personnel changes. So Exhibit F shows that. And I'd like to make a motion to accept the changes shown in Exhibit F, which essentially gives the signers Greg and Ms. Swan, I believe.
So moved, Gerlach. Thank you. Any questions? If not, roll call, please.
Robert Beaver,
Yes.
Betty Brusky-Malik,
Yes.
Kristen Kraft,
Yes.
Craig Gerlach,
Yes.
Ben Herder,
Yes.
Richard Murden,
Yes.
Linnea Miller,
Yes.
Charles Spargo.
Yes.
Motion carried. Okay,
Okay.
Chuck.
Next item on the agenda is overview of the foundation audit. Jill is going to continue helping us understand things that are going on with the foundation.
Thank you, Chuck. First of all, this is part of the MOU between the college and the foundation that we have to include our final audit reports, including our financial statements, opinion letters, management internal controls, and other documents prepared by the auditors to the district board. That's what this is. Our board has already approved our audit as of our October 27th board meeting. So with that, we worked with Clifton Larson Allen, just like the college. However, we had a separate audit team, so they didn't intermingle there. There was two things. Our audit was a clean audit and so forth. There were two areas of process improvement that they wanted to share with us. And that was the segregation of duties with respect to the cash receipts and disbursements due to the small staff. That's pretty much the reason why they have that in there. It's something that they've put in all of our audits since I've been here. However, we are continually looking for opportunities to improve this area. And this is an action item for fiscal 21 to see if we can improve on this as we move forward. In addition to that, the other process improvement was a financial statements adjustment for the Stevens Point expansion project. The process was that we were accounting for the pledges for the Stevens Point project on cash basis, and the auditors recommended us to go to the accrual basis. We took action right away on that and implemented the accrual process and updated all the pledges for fiscal 21. So with that, on a positive note, we had total revenue gains of about $250,000 over 2019. 2019 we were at 700,000 and 2020 we were at approximately $1 million for our revenue supports and gains increase. So with that, that is our audit report. Does anybody have any questions?
I had several questions for Jill and she sent me a response on those. Thank you, Jill.
You're welcome, Chuck.
Do we
Any other
need to
questions
approve
of
that?
Jill on the audit?
What was that, Chuck?
I said, are there any other questions for Jill on the audit?
Well, I just go, do we have to approve that? Does this board have to approve that?
I don't
We do
think so.
not. No,
Okay,
this is
thank you.
Okay, then the next item on the agenda for Finance and Audit Committee is the financial audit update by Greg.
Thank you, Chuck. Again, as I mentioned last month, our audit has gone very well. There has been no significant findings for the audit. They are almost done, and they are waiting upon the finalization of the CARES Act guidelines from the federal government, which haven't been issued yet. So every technical college has the same issue we do, and that is on the federal guidelines for CARES Act accounting. But we still plan on providing the report to the board at the December board meeting. Another item is that they did not find any ongoing concerns. There is no ongoing concerns in our college, so that's a great sign that the auditors have placed out there for us on our report. Other than that, on the audit, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, but it does look like our year will end with a very small positive outcome.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Greg. I think from the Finance and Infrastructure Committee, you can now let go of your butts and we can move on. Thank you.
Thanks. I didn't watch Jurassic Park, so I had no idea what the hell you were talking about, by the way. Eddie, you're up.
Our committee report will be considerably shorter. We just have an informational item from Dr. Deb Stencil.
All right, thank you, Betty, very much. The WTCS office recently conducted a review of the 2019-2020 adult education outcomes. Adult education formerly was called the Adult Basic Education. They've changed the name and now it's just adult education. So that includes underprepared adults that utilize services for ELL, for HSED or GED, for job seekers, and then also program students who need additional support to be successful. Last year, our mid-state outcomes were in the top 4 of the Wisconsin Technical College for all outcomes, including measurable skills gains, employment after second quarter, and employment after fourth quarter. So we're very proud of that. Mid-state was first out of the 16 in measurable skill gains at 76% for adult education and ELL compared to the WTCS goal of 53%. So 76% we achieved, the goal was 53%. For the employment goals, we were in the top 4. They did not give us a ranking within the top 4. We just know we were in the top 4, where 75% of our adult education students were employed after the second quarter and 80% were employed after the fourth quarter of follow-up. This compares to the WTCS average of 49% and 50% respectively. So there's quite a gap. between our performance and the average among the WTCS colleges. For these outcomes, we received a letter from the Vice President and Provost of the WTCS, Dr. Colleen McCabe, and I just want to share a part of the letter that she sent to us. She said, "We recognize and congratulate Midstate for a stellar year of innovation that has ensured adult education and English language learning services are provided to our state's most vulnerable populations. In fact, Midstate's program is in the top quartile of all Wisconsin-funded providers. This contribution not only supports the advanced economic mobility of Midstate Technical College's adult education and English language learning students, but also significantly impacts the collective success of Wisconsin AEFLA programs." She said, "Thank you for your commitment to serving students under AEFLA and advancing Wisconsin in reaching our state goals." So it was just a very proud moment that I really wanted to share with all of you, because we all always talk about our adult education services, and I feel that we have a very strong program, and I wanted to share that information with you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Kitty. 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 Kitty.
Okay, Justin, I think you're up.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
Yes,
We have just one item this evening for the Human Resources and External Relations Committee, and that's with Dr. Bobby Damrell. So Parent Perception Survey Update.
Thanks, Justin. In your board packet of materials, you'll find a copy of the fourth wave of the Parent Perception Study that was commissioned by the WTCS Marketing Consortium. And first and foremost, there's no test on all the 50 pages of data, so no worries there. But this is the, this survey was first launched in 2007, and that provided the baseline data. So every time it's relaunched, we have some information that we can compare to. Some of you heard the comprehensive presentation by the Appleseed Consumer Group at the District Boards Association meeting on October 23rd. So I just want to give you a very high level, a few takeaways from the data, and then how we are incorporating it into some of our college messaging. So we're making some very data-driven decisions with that. The Marketing Consortium really sought to understand three things: what parents are concerned about for their children after high school graduation, and then how parents prioritize how they think about post-secondary options for that child, and then how parents in the state actually view the technical colleges. So as you have heard or maybe read, the survey was completed in May of 2019, so a year ago. It was done by mobile and landlines and online forums. 544 surveys made up the data. And I guess when I looked at some of the information, I can generally say that the largest group of survey takers are married white moms with cell phones making more than $50,000 a year with a high school student in their home. So that's kind of the persona, if you will, of the biggest group of individuals. What we learned a few things. We learned that parents, what they're most concerned about for their child after graduation, there's a couple things. They're concerned about the return on their investment. They're concerned that their child is finding a career that they're passionate about. They're concerned about transferability and job placement. And we also learned that more than ever, parents are saying they're concerned about their child's ability to get along in the world. In other words, their independence. Parents are concerned about that these days. Secondly, to answer the second question, what we learned about how parents prioritize and think about post-secondary options for their child. Here's the takeaways for us here at Midstate. UWSP is our strongest competitor for Midstate, but we are gaining ground in that. Parents still see it's okay or more okay for their friends' children to go to a technical college than their own. However, they are feeling even stronger that it's a good fit for their friends' children to come to the technical college. And then finally in that area, the takeaway was that we need to keep prioritizing affordability and flexibility and job placement. And then of course the positive experience. So we can really start moving the needle more on the perception of their own children instead of their neighbors' kids. Finally, we learned how parents really view the technical college system And the bottom line is this: parents have a positive opinion of the technical college system, and we need to continue to leverage those strengths to impact the likelihood that a parent recommends it for their own children. Secondly, that we need to leverage passion, access, flexibility, and all of the supports that we provide here at the technical college. And then thirdly, in that category, we talked about in a literal sense, the word view. How do parents view? Well, literally, we found out that about 50% of the parents are not looking online for college information, especially those that are interested in technical college for their children. So we have to like drive them to our website. So you'll probably be seeing more of that in some of our messaging, is how do we get them to our website for more, because they're not Googling it. What is Midstate doing with this data? Just really briefly, you'll notice in our 2020 summer and fall campaign, and then our 2021 spring campaign, we're trying to hit all those hot buttons for parents. We took the advice, if you've looked at the what was in your board pack, page 40 actually gives us a priority performance matrix, and we really keyed on those opportunities, and we started bringing them into our messaging, and we're using words like we haven't used before when we talk about passion in their career. And that's really what we built in the Experience Choice campaign. You'll also see phrases like school to career support or career to career support. Why? It's because that's really kind of speaking to that independence piece that parents are afraid that their children don't have. So we're going to go heavy on, we can support you. We will support them and give them everything we can to help to make them be successful here. So additionally, when we launch the spring campaign, we're actually doing a campaign within a campaign. So a sub campaign. We're really going to take a crack at reaching out to the parents of high schoolers. Not necessarily sending and working with the high schoolers, but actually targeting the parents of those students. And we're going to sending a postcard to just the parents here shortly. And it's really called School to Career Success. And it's going to highlight all of those hot buttons, the individual attention to ease their fear on children being independent, the best value to ease their fear on affordability or their concern, the choice, the hands-on learning with experts to really speak to our biggest competitor, UW Stevens Point. We do have some industry experts here, many of them. And so they're teaching these children. And then of course, in-demand occupations. We can speak to that all day long in our career placement statistics. So just know that we've used this data. We're really taking it seriously for this niche, which are our high school students. And we've woven it into all of our campaigns. And as you start seeing things come through, hopefully you'll notice in our imagery that you'll see kind of more of a lifestyle, more of a warm, passionate look in some of our things. And hopefully it makes you smile, because that's what we want to do. We want to make our those parents that are prospecting, just really feel welcome and comfortable that their family members might choose to come to the technical college system. So I just kind of wanted to pull it together, what you heard and what you read and what we're doing with it. So be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? If not, thank you very much. Oh, here comes Chuck. You got a question?
No, not a question. It's a very good summary. I participated in that seminar, and you hit all the high points that I saw too, and I'm glad the college is putting that into the advertising promotion campaign, because I think it's very impressive that this process started in 2007. It's got a great track record of information to learn on and grow from. Thank you.
I would agree with that, by the way. Okay, thanks again. All right, we're at Committee of the Whole, and that was Bobby and Greg, and they talked about the funding for our, COVID, and they had 7 sources of funding from federal, state, local, and college sources. They used quite a bit of that to fund division leaders, salaries, and so forth, and as well as a foundation, which I think is really nice, put up some money so that kids could have laptop computers to take home and work during this situation with COVID. They have about 250,000 left for spring. And it says the supplemental funding did not cover the whole cost, but it sure did help with a lot of things, wages paid, lost tuition, and so forth. And they'll continue to monitor this and expect there could be a shortfall, but they'll keep us posted. I think it's admirable what they did with that and how it was used. And it was about a total of almost $2 million. So again, it was very, very helpful. And I think it did the college well. So is there any comments? Did I miss anything, Bobby, that I should have gotten in there?
You covered it well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and now, Shelley, we're up with your policies.
Right, so I just need for you to take a vote. If you would, Bob, to take it to vote for approval of those policies.
I make a motion to approve the policy changes as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second. This is Justin.
Any further questions, thoughts, remarks? If not, roll call, please.
Robert Beaver,
Yes.
Betty Brusky Malik, Betty. Okay.
You got her mic.
Kristen,
She's
Yes.
on mute.
Okay,
Kristen,
Yes.
Craig Gerlach,
Yes.
Herder.
Yes.
Richard Murden,
Yes.
Linnea Miller,
Yes.
Charles Spargo.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you, folks. Thank you very much for all the work you guys did. That is not an easy task in my book. Discussion and possible action. I assume that this has been moved to December. Am I correct?
That is correct,
Okay.
Bob.
Thank you. Now we're ready for a motion to go into closed session.
so
So
move, Betty.
second, Chuck?
Okay, any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Robert Beaver,
Yes.
Betty Brusky Malik,
Yes.
Kristen Kress,
Yes.
Craig Gerlach,
Yes.
Robin Herder.
Yes.
Richard Murden,
Yes.
Linnea Miller,
Yes.
Charles Spargo.
Yes.
Okay, and I believe Angie wants a minute or two here. Am I correct
Yes.
on that?
Yes, please.
Okay, so give.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for your support. The team's doing a wonderful job. We're not using COVID for any excuses. We're going to keep doing what we need to do, and I know that will do well for us. So thank you. Thanks for your support.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Stand adjourned.